The 2020 Reds season came to a screeching halt when they were swept by the Atlanta Braves on October 1st and eliminated from the playoffs. Normally, making the postseason would feel like a great accomplishment, but why does this year feel like the Reds left so much more on the table? Let's take a look. Let's start with the hitting. This team was built around the philosophy of all or nothing. If they weren't hitting home runs, they were not scoring, and there were plenty of times where they would have guys on base in scoring position but could not get that clutch knock to score a few more runs. This team proved that it could hit home runs with ease pretty much throughout the entire year, but if they weren't hitting dingers, they weren't scoring any runs, period. Moving on to pitching, the staff as a whole was two different tales throughout most of 2020. The starting rotation was solid to great throughout the entire year, and guys like Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, and Trevor Bauer led the way, and the Reds pitching staff was generally very, very good. Trevor Bauer pitched so well that he was even in consideration for the Cy Young Award, in my opinion, should win that award. The bullpen, for the most part, on the other hand, was a disaster. Guys like Raisel Iglesias and Michael Lorenzen were constantly put in positions to keep the Reds within range or preserve a lead, and 9 times out of 10, they blew it. It was hard to watch throughout 2020, and big free agent signing Pedro Strop was DFA'd pretty early in the year too, so this bullpen was a mess for a majority of 2020. Now, I'm not saying the entire bullpen was bad. When you have guys like Amir Garrett and TJ Antone who were pretty good throughout the entire season, but you mesh those guys with the rest of the bullpen, and it just paints an overall bad picture and one that is very hard to watch. But perhaps the biggest disappointment this year was the fact that the Reds did not win the World Series, or at least advance further in the playoffs aside from the first round, which was the wild card round. They spent a lot of money in free agency this offseason. They signed guys like Shogo Akiyama, Nick Castillo, and Mike Moustakas in hopes of propelling the Reds to the next level. The front office basically went all in. It's why it's sad that this team did not advance further in the postseason, despite all the money they spent prepping for an October run. Now, a big question mark for this team going forward is what they're going to do with a couple of those key players. Nick Castellanos can opt out after this year, and hopefully he decides not to and sticks around for a couple more seasons with the Redlegs. The big name, however, is Trevor Bauer. The guy was pitching lights out, as I said earlier, and is a contender for the Cy Young Award. Unfortunately, he is a free agent and will demand a very high price tag should he win that Cy Young Award. Now, another big question I have for the Reds going forward is what they're going to do about David Bell. There were plenty of times during the season where I felt like he was overanalyzing and overthinking and would often make the wrong decision on whether to hit a guy or have another guy pitch for another dude. It was frustrating to watch to see him overthink and cost the Reds the game because of that overanalysis. If the Reds decide to keep him around, I hope he reevaluates his managerial style. It was frustrating with a capital F. I don't know how many times I got to say that word. Frustrating to watch the Reds have a lead, then have David Bell make a dumb decision that cost his team the win in the end. It wasn't all doom and gloom. They did make the playoffs, although it was an expanded season that in a regular season they would not have made the postseason, which leaves a lot to be desired right there. However, TJ Antone was a nice surprise for the pitching staff, and guys like Tyler Stevenson and Jose Garcia showed that they could be cornerstones for this franchise going forward. Nick Senzel seemingly took the next step in his development as he was finding a groove before he was out for a big chunk of the season due to 2020 reasons. And as I said earlier, the pitching staff was phenomenal, mainly the starting pitching staff, with guys like Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, and Trevor Bauer leading the way, and Trevor Bauer entering himself into the Cy Young conversation. So what will happen to the Reds in 2021? At this point, who knows? Hopefully things are back to normal, to where I can go to the stadium and watch the Redlegs in person and cheer them on to a victory, and hopefully a World Series championship. But until then, who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully the Reds make some more off-season moves. Hopefully they can re-sign Trevor Bauer, and hopefully guys like Nick Senzel, Jose Garcia, Tyler Stevenson, they take the next step in that development and become winners for this franchise, because the city of Cincinnati is desperate for a World Series. It will now be over 30 years since the Reds have won the World Series championship, and I have not seen one in my lifetime yet, and I really, really want to. So please, Redlegs, make it happen in 2021. Bring a World Series championship back to Cincinnati. And that's all I got for you. If you like this video, feel free to get a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, cincyfanzone.blogspot.com. And give me a follow on Twitter and on Instagram. Links to both of those are in the description below. Those handles are at Cincy Fan Zone. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and go Redlegs.